So the title we've given this is The Lottery Lie. Okay. So what do we mean by this? The lottery lie is basically the idea that why should we even try to create something if only 1 in a million things actually become successful and becomes great. Okay. So how do we feel about the lottery lie overall? How does it affect our work? Do we believe the lottery lie? Is it actually a lie? Let's dive into this a little bit. So, Theresa, are you intimidated by 1 in a million chances?
Yeah, I mean, automatically, because, I mean, shoot, most Americans deal with the imposter syndrome from the get-go. And then you throw in, well, only 1 in so many million are going to get this. It's like, well, that's not me. I'm not going to do that because I don't have X, Y, and Z. And I spend all the time counting the negatives, the things I don't have. I don't take into account the full audit of things I do possess. I don't think, oh, I've got these things going for me. I can do this. And I don't have to achieve this level of greatness. I can achieve mediocre grandiosity and kind of get 1% better tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I was at rehearsal 2 days ago, and somebody was talking about, how they started as just a singer and an actor, and that, these people found them and were like, you need to learn how to dance so you can be, become a triple threat. And I was like, triple threat? I'm a mild threat for sure. And you're absolutely right. It is totally fine to be exactly where you are. And it is absolutely possible to find opportunities. The lottery lie of like, oh, that 1 in a million door only opens one time. But the reality is that doors are opening and just exist all around you all the time. And that those open doors you can walk through, but there are doors that you can, actively open, that there are things that you can do to make them open. And also there's another thing to be said for the preparation to prepare that, yes, 1 in a million things becomes a household name, but millions of people are able to make a living doing that thing because they, put in the work in the meantime. And they prepared themselves for when a door of any size could open. And they had the necessary skills and preparation done ahead of time.
I love that visual of thinking of it like there's all these doors and what are the sizes of the doors and what do you need to have prepared to open and walk through those doors.
Yes.
That's a really neat visual. I think a big part of this is like, what are you actually striving for, right? Because what are we winning when we win this lottery? What do people mean by this? What are we striving for?
Is it a lottery? I think what we're talking about is how we view ourselves and our work. And I think when you set a comparison up between this 1 in a million ascension level with what you're doing, you're comparing yourself to other people. It has nothing to do with your work, your passion, your creativity. And it has a lot to do with what do I think I'm capable of? Well, if you're doing this out of passion for what you're doing and you want to share that, there is no comparison. I don't think it becomes a lottery. I think fear of whatever is usually behind, the apprehension that you might have about starting a business or releasing a product or writing a book or whatever it might be. I know I was there for a really long time in my creative career. And I think over time you do start to lose confidence. You start to say, okay, well, I operate at this level and it's been this way for 15 years, right? Like, what makes me think that I have a shot to be up here where all these other people are? But that's kind of the thing. It's like where these other people are,
yes,
right?
up.
Up and where other people are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really not, I think, for me, the way that I need to be thinking about it, right? Where do I need to be? How can I be the only me? How can I? And then what you find is confidence comes with execution, right? So hesitation doesn't bring you anything. Sitting around sulking about, how you don't have the resources or you don't have the time, those things start to become excuses. They have for me in the past. And only when you kind of get to the point where you're like, I just don't care about those things anymore. I have to do this because it's in me. Then I think the lottery lie just kind of vanishes, right? Like, it's not about measuring your success. It's about doing what you love. And you don't have to measure how good that is. It's just what you're doing.
And another way to reframe it is that doing what you love is winning the lottery. That oftentimes it's like, oh, 1 in a million chance of succeeding, but what does succeeding look like? Because if succeeding to you looks like doing something that makes you not want to kill yourself and makes you happy and fills you with joy, that is 100% a possibility, and you absolutely can attain that. And it does not require 1 in a million chance for you to be doing something that makes you feel like you're contributing to the universe.
Yeah, and I think you can start small. You could do something small. Like if you are experiencing any type of hesitation or concern about whether or not you should start that business or you should do this creative work because of what other people are doing. And maybe it's not even about that. Maybe you're just like, look, I have a really good job right now. If I leave that job to go try this and I don't know if it's going to work, I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. That's something to grapple with. But I think if you don't push against that, you will never know, and you will never overcome that challenge, and you will lose the lottery, right? So bet on yourself is the way I think about it.
Well, and I mean, there's also, if you're talking about like a passion project or some bit of creativity, creative person, you want to knock out stuff, just don't stop showing up. Just don't stop trying.
Exactly right. I mean, I've talked about this many times before, the Vindication story, the story with Orange Nebula. I basically took 2 jobs, right? I was doing my full-time job and was burnt out and not really feeling great about my life. And I decided I could not quit my job because it was my company. And I had people that, I had to, care for and kids and stuff like that. But I had this passion inside of me, and I just found the extra gear, and for like 4 years, just basically worked a lot of hours to get it to get to the point where I didn't have to have that conversation with myself anymore.
Is it worth it?
Oh, it's absolutely worth it.
Now that you're, a few years after having a passion project that you poured into and sacrificed for a long time, does it feel worth it in you?
Totally. And I think when you talk to successful people, even just people who have found themselves in a greater place of physical fitness, right? Dieting and exercise, they suck, right? They're horrible for the first X amount of time. And you always ask them, now that you have more energy, now that you've lost the weight, now that you eat better, now that you feel better, was it worth it? I mean, of course it's worth it. The problem is getting through the dip. It's the story you tell yourself when it's hard.
Lacey's perpetual problem is getting through the dip.
I laughed so hard when you said it because all I've been thinking about now is like my snack fitness. And I'm like, so, if I could do anything that I wanted and have a perfect life, could I be a snack reviewer? I'm like imagining what that door would look like in this room of a million doors. And I'm like, snack fitness. I'm like,
see, you say that and I'm like, what, are you attaching a piece of pizza to a barbell?
Maybe. I don't, it's more like working out your snacking
Or
muscles.
she rates how fit the snacks are. Like she tries the snack and she goes, this snack
fit.
has a 12-pack. Like this snack's deltoids are off the charts.
Check out the calves on this one.
Yeah, these crackers.
Today we're getting through the dips.
Yeah, we're talking about pairings today.
It's just that's all I can think about. Thank you for hearing my laughter to his dip comment and knowing where I was going.
No problem. Anytime. I'm always ready.
So something that I often fight with people about is the idea of, is your project worth your effort if the only person who it touches is you?
That's a very important question, I think.
Depends on the project.
Because a lot of people quit. And I know for myself, I have done that too, because I'm like, well, if nobody's really going to appreciate this, why am I doing it? But sometimes that's just professional growth. It's something that you do for yourself that nobody else is going to see so that you can get to the next level. And if you do that enough times, then, there will be an appreciation there. I think you have to do stuff that's terrible and sucks in order to do stuff that's amazing. That's just showing up every time, right?
Well, I mean, I would say, what's your motivation for starting the project to begin with? I mean, if you have a hobby and you are an amateur, the word amateur comes from to love. You're doing something for the love of.
Right.
So if your goal is to be professional, being an amateur is not where you want to be, keep going. But if you're there just to love doing it and it serves you, it feeds you, it helps you be more creative, do it for the love of it.
And if you are doing it for the love of it and you make some stuff that, you know, isn't that good, that's okay. And then you eventually get to the point where you're making stuff that you're actually proud of. Guess what? You literally have like a resume. You have a portfolio of things that you have made that you could help leverage your way into actually like a career in this thing.
I read an article this morning of a guy walking through Goodwill, just doing his normal thing. And he saw a painting that seemed real familiar to him. He was looking at it and he was looking at it and he realized it was a painting he did 4 years ago and entered into a art contest at a fair and sold it. And it was so shocking to him to come across this in an unexpected place. And it was just like, holy cow, look at that. He did it for the love of it and then came across it. It's like, how much has he grown since that painting? How much more has he done? To the point where he didn't even recognize his own work, where it was just like, what is that?
I had that experience recently. I was working with a new client and we're getting ready to do a video. And I was looking back at all of their old content and I found one of their videos on YouTube and I started listening to it and I was like, I heard my voice narrating the video.
Whoa.
And I like heard this voice. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
This is a really good video.
That's right.
Classic.
And just happened upon I didn't remember that I had done that project like 4 or 5 years before, and just to hear my own voice on a project that I had put just the tiniest bit of effort to, it was quite rewarding just to run into my own content. Is that because I?
No, but do you see it and do you go, oh my gosh, I've improved, look at that? Or are you just like, solid?
Always been, always is the best Lacey.
He's not wrong.
Wow.
Your humility is your greatest virtue.
Thank you. I know.
I think to switch from that, one of the hardest places to be, I think, when we're talking about something like this is people who are maybe in midlife, who feel that they have not made the right choices and they want to change their path and they want to get on the right path and they feel like they've lost momentum, they've lost a lot of years, they don't have time to get 10 years of experience in the thing that they want to do. I still believe there's all kinds of data out there about persistence is almost all of it, right? It's just doing it. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, just like anything else. And you don't have to have all the talent in the world. You don't have to have gifts and abilities. You can just learn and you will ascend pretty high. And I think the passion does have to drive it. I think the measurement that we take against other people, again, is what that lottery is. Well, to get here, well, what is here, right? Maybe it should just be the here for you, because yesterday you were here and maybe you're here now. That's awesome. You won.
Okay, I'm gonna reframe that a tiny bit, because what Mark is doing is he's showing kind of levels with his hands, and here is above. And I want to challenge that here is here. It's in. It feels like, to me, the only thing that really is success is alignment. Is like, if there's something inside you that you're called to do and you can snap into action and be in alignment with what is actually calling to you, that's the here that is actually satisfying.
So let's break this apart then for a second. So what if my thing is I want to touch a lot of people and have them be moved by what I'm doing?
Okay.
Right? So this goes almost against what I was saying earlier. Like, this is no longer a personal thing. Like, my goal is to touch thousands of people, and in whatever way that would be, and move them from one state to a better state. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay. So how do I convince myself that I can do that?
by moving yourself from one state to another state. You can't give to other people what you haven't done for yourself. And so that's why I always want to bring it back to like, the project is valuable if it heals you. The project is you. And what you always push me then is, okay, then share it. Once you've gotten it, share it. And I think that's kind of why our two thought processes work well together, because I think it's really about what happens inside you first. But then, you know, if you want it to have an impact, then you have to share it, and you have to share it intentionally and strategically.
Yeah, and it's mindset. You're right. It's what you feel, but it's also what you think. And you can train yourself to think a certain way. I'm not sure it's as easy to train yourself how to feel.
But you can at least listen to how you feel and be really good at translating what those feelings mean and how you should act because of those feelings.
And I guess part of my point is sometimes it's just not going to feel good, and your mental process can push you through those times.
On the 6th pepperoni stick, I'm like, you can do this, Lacey.
You can put it down. You can stop
Lacey,
eating.
you don't need to. You don't need to.
Honey, you trained for this. No, but I think honestly, one thing that I hear us saying, and I think it's really good to call this out, is that we're talking about intrinsic motivation. We're talking about doing it and starting with, you know, influencing ourselves and influencing others. What I don't hear is us saying and actively pushing away from, I need to hit this level of success as a metric to be held, you know, better or equal to peers. And I feel like there's so many stories. Like I'm reading a book right now, Radical Candor, where the author talks about how she's leading a team and she sees this one guy really want this promotion for a regional role. And she doesn't think he has the chops for it. And so he pesters her and pesters her. She promotes him to it. He fails. He was trying to go for something he wasn't prepared for because he had the wrong motivation.
It's interesting. This is a pervasive thing. I've noticed this in our communities and, you know, in the social space, which I'm not a big fan of the social space in general, but
it's not a big fan of you either, but it's fine.
It's not. It's not. But
I'm sorry. I just
not
had
your
to.
thing.
I had to.
There are so many people. Yeah, it's okay. I
love you.
The lottery lie. This is a real issue for a lot of people, and I don't want to make light of it. Like here, we have a mindset at Orange Nebula, like we share this mindset, like we're going to do this, right? And I think a lot of people just view that as enthusiasm, and they think, "Gosh, well, I'm glad you guys are really positive." No, we bleed, right? Like
it's determination.
This is absolutely almost survival mode, and it has been survival mode for me for many years in my life. And I feel like I've, you know, like a frontiersman that's just, I don't know. It's been not easy to get where we are, and it's not going to be easy to get where we're going, but we're going there, right? And I think just holding on to that mindset is a lot of the work, right? Just like, I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to kill me to get me to stop is kind of how you get through.
All right. So I think that was a really good reflection overall on that topic. I am happy, which means at the point that I'm happy, we're able to wrap up. Everybody else happy or anything else to share?
I'm happy.
Okay.
I'm satiated.
Let's not get crazy with happy.
Are you?
Snacks?
Let's just things are all right.
Are you happy, Mark? Anything else to add?
I'm happy on the inside.
Okay, good.
Maybe not on the outside.
Snack time.
All right. Well, thank you three so much for your time on the couch with me.
Thank you.
I love getting to spend this time together. Thank you for those of you who are listening or watching. We're grateful to have you here. If you like this conversation, you want to share it with a friend. If you have a friend, do you have a friend?
We'll be your friend.
Anybody got any friends?
Send them this episode.
You do now.
You can subscribe to this to make sure that you see all our new episodes coming out. Rate and review, but only if you liked it. If you didn't like it, please don't. And
if you can't say anything nice,
don't say anything at all.
If they didn't like it, they did not make it to this point.
That's probably right. Have a great rest of your day. Stay
Bye.
inspired. We will talk to you very soon. Bye. Goodbye. See you later.
See you later.
Goodbye.
but imagine that voice coming from your closet at night.